the speculation about what was going to happen with DeAndre Hopkins, that's been a story that's been floated out there. He listed a bunch of other quarterbacks he wanted to play for or play with, rather. And then it was like, well, you're still a member of the Arizona Cardinals. Well, the thought was last Friday that the decision had been made. They were going to release DeAndre Hopkins. They couldn't find a trade partner. And apparently it is not official yet. Apparently with the long holiday weekend, that move has not been made official. So DeAndre Hopkins, as it stands right now, is still a member of the Arizona Cardinals, but at 4 p.m. Eastern time today, the feeling is the move will be made and he'll be looking for work, and the conversation then becomes, where does it make the most sense for DeAndre Hopkins? And the Chiefs and the Bills have been heavily speculated. As Albert Breer pointed out, those were the two teams that had any sort of real trade conversations with Arizona over the past couple of months there. So
yeah, and there's a potential that he still gets traded today. Right? I mean, that might have been some of the strategy behind floating out that he was going to be released and doing it over the holiday weekend. And I think that was some of the confusion as well, is because most people thought it was going to become official come Monday. But wait a second, it's Memorial Day, it's a holiday, so it actually pushes and gives you a little bit more time until Tuesday. So we'll see if something gets done, and sometimes it's what teams do to draw up more interest and a better offer because they don't like the offers that are currently on the table. Those two teams make a lot of sense, right? I think for all parties involved, for the Chiefs and Bills, if it's an arms race and they're trying to go win a Super Bowl, and if you're Hopkins, you get two, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, in my opinion, and guys who I think you'd want to go play with that are going to give you the chance of winning that ring. And that's probably where DeAndre Hopkins is at this point. He's had a lot of individual success. I think he wants to go to a place where he can now have the ultimate success of winning a Super Bowl. And that might come with taking a lesser role, less targets, less catches, but it might be more rewarding when it's all said and done. So a lot of players get to this point in their career, and that's sometimes the things that they're looking for. And it's kind of interesting that Arizona would just, after, the speculation and the things that he had originally said, and then Hopkins comes out and said, well, he's not necessarily trying to go anywhere else, or who said he wants to go anywhere else. And it led down a road of, eventually just them releasing him. And it seems like Arizona wants a fresh start with how they're building back up this roster, and obviously Hopkins wants a fresh start as well.
I would throw Baltimore in there. I don't know that there's a bad decision for DeAndre Hopkins if it's a team that has talent, has a quarterback, has stability. I think that if he gets released, it just makes it a much easier proposition versus getting traded. Obviously, you don't have the choice when you get traded. But if you get released, you're getting that cash. Arizona's got to pay you whatever it is that Arizona owes you out of that contract. So it's not like that contract is getting absorbed and you just maintain what it is that you got going on as you go to the other team. You're getting paid twice now, because whatever it is that Arizona owed you, they're going to have to pay you. They don't get to unload that on someone else. And you don't have to look at it from the standpoint of, let me make that money up. He doesn't have to make the money up. He can go in, if he wanted to, he could go in at market value. He could go in at a league minimum just to fit into the team he would want to go to and play with the quarterback that he want to play with. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to go for top dollar. So to me, I mean, he has, I guess, flexibility if it's all about winning. He has flexibility if he gets released. He has the flexibility to go to a team if they want him. Now that's what it ultimately comes down to as well, is do they want him? You're talking about a guy that 2 times there's been conversations about what he could possibly be as a person off the field. Now, I've met DeAndre Hopkins. I thought he was a dope dude. I think he's a cool dude, but I've never been his teammate and I've never been his coach. And people would say that they got rid of him in Houston to clear out what his presence was in the locker room. Now people would say they're clearing him out in Arizona because of some of the things that he's had to say criticism-wise towards Arizona. So I think that's going to play a little bit of a part, and wherever he wants to go, that team is going to have to want him too.
I mean, I don't know what the reputation he's got as a player, but I look at it and go, man, Houston was a disaster. Arizona was a disaster. At this point, he may as well just sign with the Commandos. Like, he's landed at every disaster franchise in the NFL. And then we talked about this yesterday, this report that came out that the Cardinals were upset that he, didn't want to or they sat him the final 2 games of the regular season and listed it because of a knee injury. And the thought was he was actually healthy and ready to go, but they were upset that he wanted out of one of the previous games there late in the season. It just felt like Arizona was a mess, and for him it's an opportunity, go somewhere else, start new. But if you're one of those teams and you're not offering, if Buffalo's not interested because they feel like it's going to piss off Stephon Diggs, if Kansas City's not interested for whatever Kansas City's reasoning is, I keep saying I like Carolina. If you could get him to Carolina, where you've got Adam Thielen there, but they had to trade DJ Moore because they needed to, bring in the move off from him so they could get the number 1 pick. For a guy like Bryce Young to have DeAndre Hopkins.
But would he want to do that? Would he want to take that chance on an unknown commodity in the league at this point?
I mean, compared to where he's been, it's a pretty smooth sailing operation there compared to Arizona and Houston.
I mean, is it?
Went down. Well, in comparison, Arizona
they just got rid of a coach during the season last year. They had an interim coach.
Do you guys want to put on a little game show music, and I'll go through the list of odds as to where DeAndre Hopkins lands next?
Yeah, but make sure it's something that's not, we're not taking any shots at where Brady comes from or family background. This is just ridiculous. I don't know why. Sorry, Brady. I don't know why.
There's some interesting game show music.
It is.
I'm with it.
So Jonas Knox, he threw out the Carolina Panthers. Jonas, you feel like the Carolina Panthers would be a great spot for him?
Well, now that odds are attached to it, probably not. Yeah. But I'll go with Carolina, please.
Not on the list. Not on the list of potential suitors.
There's a stunner
for DeAndre Hopkins. That's what Jonas Knox.
By the way, the Washington Capitals are more likely to be on the list.
That is true. That is true. LaVar had the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
The Ravens are number 3 on this list at plus 650.
Okay.
You want to take another? How about this? Take another guess at a team outside of the Bills, Chiefs, which I think we all look at those as the 2 favorites.
Yes.
But take another guess. What else you got?
The Chargers.
And also based on information.
LaVar goes. Hold on. LaVar goes with the Chargers.
Okay.
The Chargers are indeed a top 6 potential suitor. They're at plus 1,000 to get DeAndre Hopkins next.
Okay.
Jonas, back to you.
I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. What a season last year, building into really what could be year 2 of Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence just making their way into the playoffs, making a run. They're much lower down on the list. They're at plus 3,000.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So 30-1 if he goes to Jacksonville.
Any other guesses that you like?
By the way,
I'll take another stab.
Will Calvin Ridley be placing that bet for me if he does go to Jacksonville or no?
No, he might be the bookie at this point. He might be paying you out. Yeah.
I think he's figured it out.
The Miami Dolphins, says LaVar Arrington. Miami is not on the list.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they got money. I don't think they can.
They don't need to have money.
Okay, here's one. Speaking of degenerate,
let's hear it.
Speaking of degenerate gamblers, the Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions, they're relatively high on the list. They're actually the 7th team in pursuit of DeAndre Hopkins at plus 1,200.
I mean, Jamison Williams is missing the first 6 games because he bet on an Iowa over-under during the course of last season, so that's a loss. So it feels like Detroit.
Well, hold on. Is this teams that are pursuing him or teams that he's likely to land on?
Likely to land.
Based on the odds, likely to land.
Okay.
I'm surprised there's one you guys haven't thrown out there.
Oh, the Cowboys?
Well, no, but they are also on this list.
Of course
they are actually 10th at 25-1 plus 2,500.
I'm going to throw the Jets. All right, there you go. I'll throw the Jets out there.
Jets are 4th. They're 4th on the list at plus 700. There's still maybe a reunion of sorts, if you will, that could be potentially out there. And
I mean, who else?
The Browns?
Yeah, the Browns. They're not as high on the list. They're at plus 3,000 or 30 to 1.
The only reason
but if he goes there, you also get a massage table. So.
Oh, come on.
What? What was the relationship between him and Deshaun, though? Because people reported that they got rid of DeAndre so that Deshaun could have the leadership role in the locker room. I mean, I remember reading that when they let him go because I couldn't understand why they had let him go. A lot of people were saying that was speculated.
Wasn't he pissed? Wasn't Deshaun Watson pissed that they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins? That was the other story that I saw that was out there.
There was a lot out there.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the reason is.
I don't know.